Welcome to Guilty by Association's podcast with your host, Big Mike, L Boogie, and Alexander. We are shedding light on our life experiences from our own guilty flaws, lessons learned, and still learning as men, and taking a positive outlook from negative circumstances. Blended with tackling hot topics impacting us and our communities today, GBA is about making moves. We will be diving deep and shedding light on important social issues that keeps you in motion. So come take a ride with us through this thing called life with exciting discussions and interviews that will be brutally honest and fun. As you enjoy, remember that you will be guilty by association. The day the child realizes that all adults are imperfect, he becomes an adolescent. The day he forgives them, he becomes an adult. The day he forgives himself, he becomes wise. Alden Nolan. All right, we back for another episode. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
What's
Rocky 3, part 3, third show.
Part 3. No doubt, it is the third show. We in matter of fact, I'm just saying. It seems like our shows always be coming around some major event. Have you know we following the Super Bowl right now?
Yeah, this is the after show. That's what you call it.
The after show, the post show. Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly, Tiny and T.I. They thing going on, and
some interesting times going on right now, and that's a whole other show by itself on that.
Dang, Clifford.
Well, allegedly. Again, welcome back. Allegedly, exactly. Well, welcome. We want to definitely welcome back our listeners as we getting started today. I'm just for those that are for the first time listener. I'm Alexander.
I'm Big Mike.
I'm L Boogie.
All right, and as we know, we like to dive on different conversations, chop it up, and just talk about certain hot topics that's going on. But today's episode we're working on is the kids, the good, bad, and ugly. The good, bad, and ugly. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't have no ugly kids, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no kids, but I've dated women with kids, and I was a kid at one time, and
no doubt.
So
of course,
got a lot to
married.
offer.
No doubt, I'm married with kids. Matter of fact, so now we know this subject can be a very sensitive subject, so we want to go ahead and let it be known that we just talking, we just having conversations. So we're gonna try to have fun with this subject. So nobody take nothing personal. We just having conversation.
I hope my exes ain't tuning in right now. I never did like your daughter.
Yeah, it's got to be ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous, but we know this is can be a sensitive subject, so we're gonna try to have fun with it. All right. Well, so getting started. So we're talk about kids. Let's do for our listeners. I guess we about to do a kids check in here, like age range and what our kids and how many we have. So we let Big Mike start it off.
I have no kids. I'm seedless.
That you know of?
Nah. My mom always jokes and says that we know. No telling what he got out there, but no, I have no children.
I have 2 children. I have they're 6 and 9. So I started late in the game, and just so everybody's wondering, I'm in my 40s, grown man. I started late in the game, 6 and 9. L Boog.
We can skip me if you want, but nah. I'm proud to say I have 7 children. They range from the ages of 16 to about 28. From 16 to 28. 2 are biological, 5 are stepchildren, but they're all my children. So as they say, as the show, all my children.
Yeah, we're gonna actually talk about that because it's interesting you pointed that out, and I like how I've always admired. Obviously we all have relationship outside of the the podcast here, and I'll always take my hat off to you where your kids are your kids. You don't really title them step kids or things of that nature, and I admire that. I always told you that, right?
Yeah.
So we definitely gonna touch on that today. But I did speaking of kids, I wanted to talk just to get things warmed up. What do y'all think about today's generation when we talk about kids today versus, our generation, doing those 70s and 80 babies?
Oh
What
man,
you think?
you
We'll
jumping
start off.
straight
We'll
into
start,
fire with
straight
that
into,
one, man.
yeah, just to get us warmed up, loosen
Oh
up here a little
man,
bit.
where do I start, man? I don't want to be old school, but I do think I know me when I was a kid, man. I love my mother. That's like my best friend, but I won't up under her as much as I encountered a lot of young men have been lately that I've seen. And this is from just my experience. I mean, I want to go out and play ball, ride my bikes,
Yeah.
old school arcades. Now they got video games in their rooms now. So,
Yeah.
it used to be you get sent to your room, that was punishment. You send the kid to their room now, like, okay,
That's real. That's real. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's real,
so
L. I mean, not what, L.
Today's generation, our generation, that's like it's kind of like it's cut and dry. It's self-explanatory. It's different. The kids are cut from different cloth. Just like you were saying, Mike. When I was a kid, I couldn't wait to go out the door.
yeah, man.
I'm out. I go out and then come back. I'm stinking.
Yeah. Wash your hands before you go in that refrigerator, and
right.
mom's getting on you for that.
Or if you come back inside one more time, you ain't going back out.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think that's the biggest thing I see that's different from our generation to the new generation. Whereas, like you say, they want to stay in the house, they want to be stuck around their parents, or not say stuck around their parents, but it's not.
We're gonna touch into technology. I think it was a lot of times. I guess when I was asking the question, I didn't really help narrow. I guess I was talking about more like the
that's kind of broad.
Millennials and the millennials and some of the Generation Zs. I guess I'm looking at it from my kids' perspective as well. But y'all both touched on something too about this generation. Like you said, going outside now is like a punishment. It's not the same as going outside when we went outside. Kind of like what Mike said. You made me think about, man, those would be adventures. We're going to the arcades and competing at the arcades for the
something
games.
To do all day.
Something to do, right? Yeah. Because I remember joking with my son. I was like, man, I was a latchkey kid. In third, fourth grade.
Yeah.
I said I couldn't dare give you the keys, man. You'd be lost outside with the key in your pocket.
Man, you know what? That's crazy, man. It's something I didn't think about. How we had keys to the home, and man, it's man. But I can say this though. I think this new generation are more creative. I mean,
they're
definitely smart. More creative.
They're smart, super smart.
Like my like matter of fact, before I came up to tonight, I was listening to the kids, and they both, now mind you, 6 and 9, they both got laptops open making beats, so they know daddy love music. Making beats. I remember they're rocking like, yo, this could be an opening for a podcast right here.
Wow.
But I mean, and that's at 6 and 9. They in the computers making beats, and I mean, like, wow. So that's definitely a pro, I could say, for the the younger generation. Generation, I guess the Z's now, because we beyond the millennials, right? So with that being said, though, that brings up another question. You brought up technology. Do you think the technology, some pros and cons of technology in kids? Like when I think about like my kids, I think of kids now when it comes to technology, they don't have like in-person skills. Social skills is kind of can be a challenge because they don't do a lot of they don't do a lot of in person per se. They could do stuff over devices now, even when you start getting older kids.
Man, I remember when I was like it might have been the 4th or 5th grade. This is how it sounded crazy back then. Y'all might can remember. I remember a teacher was teaching a class and she said, by the year such and such, everybody will have a computer in their home. And I'm like, oh, for real? Now Everybody got a computer. So, I mean, just
In the
think, man,
hand.
we had to, up to a certain point, we had to write our papers.
Yep.
Whiteout was used a lot.
Tons of whiteout. Tons of whiteout.
You know what I'm saying? You can Google something now. Man, they have programs where, I mean, man, they got spell check.
Yep.
They got, I mean, the
Like,
sources.
yeah, my son is liable to. No, my kids are liable to go on, ask Alexa before go to the glossary in the back of the book. Like, right in the back of the book, bro. What you doing? So the technology. What, you were to say something else?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like Mike was saying back in the day, the technology today is like a gift and a curse. I wish I did have the technology back in high school. Let's say, for example, because I had to go to the library. Nobody goes to the library nowadays. So, and actually, I really wish I had technology back then. I got jumped going to the library. To get the education. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a rough neighborhood. But anyway, so instead of going to the library, they can just hit a phone and Google, get all the information they want.
Yeah.
It's good, which is really good because you want your child to have the best possible means to get information. Sometimes information is wild and far-fetched. We all know that. But they have the ability to do that. And think of it this way also, as older people, well, like me and Alexander can relate to, oh man, how I do this? Where can I find that? Your child can find it. Here it is. Here's that. And they get a kick out of it because they got the information. And I don't care how, they might even be the height of a table. And they can do things, things that me and you couldn't do at their age or maybe double that age.
Right.
10 years old, the kids can do anything.
Yeah, you're right. And that's why I actually had, in my notes is definitely a gift and a curse, right? So, it's a gift for, like you said, they have the resources right at the palm of their hand, but then the curse, it causes them to be disconnected too. It can be, at least, right?
It can be.
And I'm guilty for it. I'm guilty. I got the headrest for them to watch TV when they're in the car. I remember I was in a training, and
that's a blessing.
That's a blessing. But I'm just saying, I remember I was in a training, about talking about the importance of when you're presenting, how to stay engaging with your presentations now, because with the younger generation, they're used to always being entertained, or they require to be entertained all the time. So, and they said, and the way the presenter put it was like, hey, we're in a generation where kids can't go to Walmart without a TV or some kind of device. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whenever we're presenting, especially in the professional world, whenever we're presenting, that's why we got to make sure that our presentations have to be somewhat entertaining or engaging, because the attention span, of course, is shorter.
Yeah, with some visuals.
And they need the visuals. And so that's what I guess the curse come in, or can be a curse, in the sense that, they have to be always, going, always wired. So, all right. So, something came up, somebody mentioned something about some, step kids. I guess we could dive into that. Relationships. So, Mike, you being the single man in here, what's your thoughts of dating someone with kids, and what's your thoughts of dating someone with kids?
It can be.
Me and you had this conversation before,
Yeah, man. It can be a beautiful dream, or it can be a nightmare.
That's a nice way to put it.
I mean, because and I'm not saying nightmare for what you might think. It can be you get attached to them kids, and you and her break up, and she keeps you away from them. I've never had, let me knock on wood, but I never had nothing like a son trying to square up or something, or I can honestly say I never dealt with a very disrespectful child. Now they might say something out of the blue, like, where was y'all at last night, or something, and I'm like, gotta stay in the kid's place.
Mike, what, you 7'12"? Anybody kids don't
You never know, man. These young kids is fearless, man. These young kids is fearless, but that's been the more hurtful thing, is you get attached to that child, and then you and her don't work out. You no longer have that chemistry. So now, if I date a woman with kids, I really don't want to meet their kids unless I know it's going to be really, really solid.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but we know as we get older, I mean, that is going to be something that's going to be probably part of the package, is going to be, kids. I mean, that's male or female, or female.
Yeah.
Whereas we get older, we start having children, and so I know for me, I guess, when it comes to relationships, when I was single, I didn't have a problem because I was the only child, so I've always um, always admired the idea of having a family, more than one kids, and having the kids. So I embraced it, but unfortunately, the relationships didn't work out, and I know I didn't, because of the relationship didn't work out. It did affect my relationship with those step kids. So I didn't continue to have a relationship. Not the kids' fault, anything like that. It was just that me and their mother couldn't get along, or we decided not to, to disconnect, and unfortunately came with that. So, but with that being said, though, I know you mentioned step kids. What are your thoughts on that? How did you remain connected? Or that's I didn't have that written. I just thought about that.
Well, I it's not past tense. I still connect with all my kids, every single one of them. I don't talk to them every day. That's not something I do, but I'm part of their lives as far as I check on them and they check on me, even though me and their moms are not together. Which is the reality, but they knew and they know that the love I have for them and I still have for them is the same.
Right.
Like you were saying earlier, Mike, about you get attached to these kids, So I got attached to these children and married their mothers,
Yeah. So that's,
and that love that I had. I mean, I have time and I'm invested in these children. They're grown. So the majority of them are grown now, but I'm invested in them. I know when they had no kids, now they have kids. I know when, we was in, doing some things as families and taking trips and having some fun and all these memories, you can't erase that.
yeah.
I won't erase that. And they need me, I'll be there for them. Every time I see them, I think about them, I hear about them, I want to check on it in their lives, and I want to make sure that, they all know, the love I have for them will never end.
That's real.
It doesn't work like that with everybody. It doesn't work like that. That's not a
No, it doesn't.
But for me, I have a family portrait, with me right now, even though I don't live with any of my children.
Yeah.
But
and that's a beautiful thing, because I know, unfortunately, it was like I said, when it was over, it was difficult too. And but the thing was, actually, as you was talking, though, on the serious tip, that's how toxic the relationship was. That as I was listening to you, that's how much turbulence, the best way I can put it in. And that's not speaking negative to her. I feel like we all got somebody. We all have somebody. For some, it's always somebody for somebody. But anyway, it was so toxic that it tainted the possibility of a connection with the children, because I knew early on in that, and we was married, and knew early on in the relationship, unfortunately, like, I'm about to be out, so there's no need to get only so attached, because this is not. It's a good possibility I'm about to be out of here. So it made me automatically, as I was listening to you, I had started putting a wall up that won't allow me to only get so close to them, because I knew, like, yo, me and moms is kind of ain't quite there yet. I don't know if where it's going to go here. So
now some of these kids will throw salt in your game, though. Is Alexander? I think I told you this story. Is this one girl was dating, and everything was starting to get real cool, and then she said to her son, I'm gonna use his alias, Joshua, ain't about time you start thinking about getting your own place? He's like, you only known this ninja for 5 months, and now you want to put me out? I was like, what? She told me that story. I was like, dang, yeah, it's gonna be an issue. It's gonna be an issue.
Yeah. So what do you now? That brought up two things I did want to ask that I had written down to talk about. Was, what do you think about women that make their kids there? Because you hear that phrase, what the kid becomes the woman's husband, or vice versa.
Well, let me jump in on that.
Oh man!
Hold on, Mike.
No, I definitely got something on that.
I can't say I truly experienced that, but
let me jump in on that.
All right.
So, whether I relate to my own or whoever, it's like a generational thing now. like these women, they latch on to these boys or men and won't let them go.
Yeah.
Like literally, like, oh, he can stay forever. And the man's head's thinning. He's still
Yeah.
I'm not saying specifically that was my child in that regard. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I'm saying that these mothers, they baby them. They never cut the strings.
Oh yeah.
And they will get them off the bra strap. And you know what? And they'll even say, I know I'm doing too much. I know I shouldn't. I say, okay, well, don't do that then. They go around do it anyway.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. You're not helping a man become a man by doing that.
No.
And I know Mike, that's kind of like a universal thing, in this generation, in my generation, get up, get out, and get something.
Yep.
Exactly. Your mother was sitting there with her arms crossed looking at you. What you doing here? Like,
yeah.
Feli's $60, and I'm throwing it way back. But I'm saying, get out of here. You need a job.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, but now the mothers oh, you need some J's? Well, how much? $250?
Yeah.
I can't pay my car note this month. It's gonna be late because or whatever. They baby them so much. And I know there's gonna be some listeners out there that's gonna touch a nerve, but it's just a fact. So like if you're in a relationship or not even in a relationship, it's best to let a man become a man. I'm not saying out the boy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's gonna keep doing what you allow him to do.
Yeah, because I mean, just speaking as a man, it's all and being an only child, obviously, it's always going to be a part of you. And be like, I know I should be always able to go home. I want to, have that in the back pocket, but you don't want to abuse it. Like, okay, only going to go home if I have to. As as El Boog, the only time I had to go back, I had to come in an ambulance. Last time I had to go back to my mom. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the only way you're gonna get me back up in there. But and that's not throwing no shade at moms, but that's because you became a man. And
you know what?
It's out of respect for my mother's house more than anything else. Like I feel like being a grown man, if I am there, then I need to be paying some bills, holding it down. You see what I'm saying? So that's my take on it.
Man, you have women out here, and they know they are. I'm not saying all women, but some
I told
women.
Y'all this. I told everyone this is going in the beginning. This may be a sensitive subject, but just talk.
Man, y'all know what I'm about to say is true. I know women who have little boys, man, that's still sleeping with them in their bed, man. They're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. He done graduated from the bottle, you gotta man up. I mean,
took your spot.
Yeah, you took your spot.
yeah, man. Yeah, you took my spot, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I being married, I could tell you our kids when we was transitioning from from the crib to to their bed. I mean, I was kicked off the bed for a while. You know what I'm saying? So at least for about 3 years, and then I messed around. My daughter came, and that was another 3 years. Like, what the world? So I'm probably made my way back. I see you when I see you. Where to meet me at over here. While they sleeping over there, meet me over here. So we had that understanding. We still had another kid pop up. So
like a famous pastor says in this, I ain't gonna say his name, but me and you attend that church. He said, your child should never sleep in the bed with you. I don't care what age. He said they can stay in that crib next to the bed, but they should never be in the bed with you.
Oh man! So something that you mentioned, I'm glad you brought up about the Mike, about the kid that threw the monkey wrench in, and I kind of wanted to make sure we talk about teenage and kids and children. I guess that kind of leads into that conversation. So, Elle, obviously you're gonna have to be the expert in here. When it comes to teens, I only got my kids are only 6 and 9, so I only can imagine ahead of time. But so what do you think about teenage? Since Elle, you have experience in the range there with kids in today's society. I only have my first thing come to my mind, honestly. Dad of young children. I'm thinking about that sexting and all this other stuff. Like,
man. Oh man.
So, what's your thoughts of teenagers today? Today's society.
I'm scared for them.
Yes.
To be honest, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm scared for them because there's so much it's so much pressure around them to fit in. You know, back when we was growing up, basically, you got a ball, you got a bat, you got some sneakers. You basically, you in there. That's it. But them is like, what kind of sneakers do you have? What kind of car do you have? If you have a car, what kind of phone do you have? It's just so much pressure. Like I feel kind of bad for them because they get hit from every angle. I had a conversation with one of my youngest daughters, and this was years ago when she was in middle school, and she was giving us, me and her mother, a real nice, good, long conversation. We was out to dinner, and we were just asking her about what's going on in school and whatever, and she just got real open. She was telling us about stuff the kids were doing on the bus, the drugs, sex, all this stuff. I'm talking about these kids were 13 and whatnot. I mean, they was just they that's what they're doing, and I'm like, they were just wide open, and it just progressively worse. They were doing stuff like grown people, literally.
Right. I've heard some horror stories as early as, like you said, middle school, even elementary. Like, what I consider horror stories.
You really hitting the nail on the head, man. Because definitely they got a lot of pressure, man. You just think, man, back in our day to catch a celeb or anything, man, we're watching Video Soul or something like that. Now they can follow these entertainers' lives. They want that life.
Yeah, they want that life.
And you got this
wives' life.
and you got this culture of the drug. It used to be the drug dealer. Now it's the drug user rapper now. You know what I'm saying? So they might think that's the way. I mean, the influence is just the pressure, man. And man, we don't even want to get into the bullying, man.
I was gonna talk about that actually.
Yeah, man.
I want to come back to that. We'll come back to that one. So, so it sounds like to me the cons is some pressure. What about some pros? It's kind of similar to what we said earlier, like with the kids, with technology and being able to. What are some pros with? I mean, cause my question was going to actually be, what's the pros and cons with teenage in today's society?
So, one thing I do love about kids, man, a lot of them are honest, man. A lot of them. See, I'm talking about my experience, Elbook.
Look, he could talk to you because you only there for a minute, so I'm
talking about my experience, but I mean, a kid ain't gonna fake it. They don't like you, and if they love you, you gonna feel it. You gonna
that's true.
Their energy,
true.
But I mean, I love the kids, man. I mean, I ain't your daddy or nothing, but I'm joking.
Well, was you going to say something about the pros with the?
Yeah, with the pros. Well, I don't know about Mike talking about the kids are honest. These kids, I had a conversation with my daughter about my other daughter, and she said, "Why you think she lied? Why you think she's lying?" I said, "You all lie. At all times." I laughed. I said, "We all did. Kids they lie left and right. If their mouth is moving, that's the quote. You're lying." And I'm not talking about bad lies. They're doing stuff underhanded. But they lie because they were just trying to get their way or whatever the case may be. But let me stop bashing these children because I love them. So let me start talking about the pros. So the pros about these kids is the fact that they have a lot of independence on their end if they want to utilize it.
It's a different independence from what we consider independent. But go ahead.
The independence I like about them, they have the ability to establish your own bank account, make purchases, things like that. And and if they have the permission from their parent, set them up, things of that nature. But they have so many great things in front of them and opportunities. They can do the things because of technology. Technology is a definite thing that it helps to advance the children. So we want to make sure that, well, we don't even got to make sure they know how to use it better than we do. We go to our children for help. Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? And they laugh at you. You've been take 2 hours to do. They do it with their thumb while they're watching TV and hand it back to you. Like, get out of my way. But the pros also about these kids that I truly enjoy is the fact that, like you said too, Mike, I do like that point. When they do express they love you, they won't fake loving you. They won't fake it because it's so hard for them to say anything to express themselves. But if they do say they love you, best believe you in there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And it's funny.
it's good to say if you can, and it's not demeaning to say as much as you can. You love that child. Say it to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Even when they grown, just a phone call, in person, whatever, text messages, stuff like that. You make sure they show they know they love. So I do like that.
Yeah, because I'm seeing my 9-year-old, man, he ain't hit them double digits, hit them double digits. I'm looking at him, so this guy's he's stinking now. He's getting, this is my baby boy. I just grab him by the head and just lay one on him. Like, you still a baby, you my baby boy, Joker, and then mush him. You know what I'm saying? But I know for me, one of the pros, I thought about a article I read. It was doing a comparison of the generation. I guess it's more like an interesting fact when we talk about the teenagers in today's society. And then I do have another question about the teenagers too. But they say that this generation of millennials generation, I think we're probably Y. I always get those mixed up. But anyway, the millennials, let's just say the millennials, they say the millennials and Generation Z, they are compared to the industrial generation, like, the World War II generation, right? They say because that was the industrial era was a time when we was getting into metals and building high rises and skylines, and everybody was finding jobs doing construction and making roads, building roads and building buildings, and that was a big booming era, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
They're saying that this generation is part of the whole technology boom, right? It's still growing, right? With social media and things like that. So they say actually those generations are similar because they are part of a building a new generation type of thing. It's a transition to a new time. And but with that, they say that those two generations are the most dedicated generation. So it kind of touches on what you just said, Mike, and Big Mike and El said, you were saying about the loyalty that they have when they say they express love to you. Is very genuine. They say they are very, even though it's weird because another article I read, it was saying even though with the technology it causes them to have like social issues, but they actually are very loyal when they find somebody they're attached to. So I just thought that was interesting. So what about teens and dating?
Oh man, that's painful.
Because I think of trolling, bullying,
catfishing, man. They're probably a naive one. Well, not all. I don't know though.
Well,
and again,
I don't know, man. With MTV, man, and having a show, I don't know why people still getting catfish, man. Show, I'm sorry, I'm not even out there like that, but I can just go by the show. Say, I mean, come on now. How many times he gonna never show you a picture and tell you, I promise you, I'll fly. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, like.
They still try it though. They still try it. I have somebody DM me on Facebook, like, "Hey, how you doing?" or whatever. I'll be like, "Hey, let's live chat." My connection ain't working right now. My screen's broke.
They playing you, dude.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, delete, blocked.
Now mind you, my social times were back when we were still plugging in for the internet. You know what I'm saying? But and it took forever for a picture to come up, and you always
man,
you always knew a sign that the person, male or female, and then they ain't right if they showing you their high school picture. You know what I'm saying? If it's that same one with you holding the diploma with a guy, they like, it's a possibility you might not be right when I see you. That was a tail giveaway. But so what about children dating outside of their race? That's a question I have for myself too. Like, what's your thoughts?
I think you should be ready for that. I think you should be ready for that in this society. And for me personally, love is love. For me personally, love is love. Now I know the generation I grew up. Your mama would say, "Don't you bring no white girl home, or don't you do this, or don't you?" But you got to be more open-minded about that right now, because if your son or daughter brings home a good person, a good person, and they feel love for that person, and that person shows love to your child, hey, you should just accept that.
I'm glad you brought this up, man, because that's another difference between the kids now too. Like, this generation is a little bit more accepting of interracial relationships. And you got to think, man, they were they're raised off hip hop. Now these kids coming up, they're listening to that music. They have more access to different cultures, than, well, y'all from up top, but
it's now it's universal now, man.
Yeah. So it is great subject, bro. Great topic.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of same thing. I think that's, and I don't want to get into a whole nother, because it's a whole nother topic, but I think unfortunately in the time that we in, at least at the time of this recording, the tension among, the race right now, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
well, you got
Mike, you know where I'm gonna go. I'm about
to
go with
man, I just would say this. If I had a daughter,
I just think that unfortunately there's another race, white race, that having a problem right now with becoming the minority, when they don't realize you got 400 years in a head start. You good, relax. And I just think that you have that kind of going on too, but that's a subject for another time.
Right. And I think as a parent, it's real quick. As a parent, if your child is going to enter into an interracial relationship, you should prepare that child mentally. Say, okay, hey, you can love whoever, but think about this.
You're going to deal with it.
You're going to deal with looks, stares, comments, whether it be in your family or outside your family, in public, are you going to be prepared for that? You can't just walk around, I love him.
Oh, no, my God, man.
Is he going to fight for you? You know what I'm saying? Right. He going to just leave.
Man, I remember like 2 years ago, I went to a conference and my boss, who's Caucasian, she was with me, and oh my God, man. Yo, up top, y'all rough, man. I thought Southfield no joke, but the sisters, man, oh man.
You get all kind of look.
Bro, bad service, the looks. I was like, man, but that's another topic.
But
let's keep it on the kids.
You ain't getting no love. You ain't getting no love nowhere, man. What's going on?
Yeah, man. Let's keep it on the kids, man. Let's keep it on the kids.
Yeah, but no doubt. But I mean, like you said, like just as long as you prepare them, because a change is going to come, and we are heading to a time where things are happening, and when we say it's no more black and brown. Black and brown is strong.
I'm embracing this change, man. God willing, I can't wait to see this change, because
much needed.
Society accepted you got to talk this way, you got to act this way, you got to be, this is what's considered educated. And now, the spectrum is, it's turning now. Everybody might have to learn Spanish. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, just keeping it 100.
Hey, look. Thanks to technology, they make.
Yes, sir.
I done got on the air. I done got on the air. So
make America great again. It is great. Exactly. In other words, you saying make America how it used to be. That's other words what they saying.
Oh no. Oh boy. All right. So so I guess we kind of start wrapping things up, because I did say I want to save it for last, but the bullying made me think about something that last stand up I think Chris Rock did, and it's some famous lines or jokes in there where he talks about that bullying is actually coming from Chris Rock's from our generation, I guess you all would say, is that that it's healthy. Y'all agree? Disagree?
Healthy? What do you mean?
I agree to a point. What he was trying to say in the joke was that the bully made you have to toughen up. He made you have to, so and I'm speaking for New York, and of course it was, we talking about the 80s in New York. I mean, it was a different 80s, 80s was a different time. But I agree with it, but I agree with it to a point, meaning,
Yeah, I see your point on that. Because we had a conversation previously about being soft as men. We're dealing as a perspective as men. So obviously, it's gonna be people rubbing you the wrong way, so that will toughen you up. I don't advocate bullying, but you could probably think of a bully in the
and just to make it clear, Chris Rock was not advocating. I don't want
right.
I don't want to get no blackball. We only 3 episodes in. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying.
I know he had a joke. But I think you can probably think of one of the neighborhood bullies in our neighborhood if we've been bullied, early on in our life or whatever, but that can and will toughen you up. Because I remember growing up, the rule of thumb in my family was, if you lost a fight, my uncle would say, I'm taking you back out there, you're going to fight again. Like, damn, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just the mentality, that's the upbringing I had. It just made me a little tougher. So I can see the point, whereas, bullies, they have their place in your life, but obviously nobody wants to be bullied. And kids nowadays, their bullying is a different level. They trolling people.
Man, posting them on
online. I can't stand.
Man.
I can't stand the bullying now. I can't stand it.
Yeah, man.
They go for the throat. They go for the jugular. They tough.
Yeah, bullying I can really relate to because I'm an Army brat. So I moved around from school to school, from overseas, back in North Carolina. I moved around a lot. So it's a difference between I didn't really grow up with my cousins all my life. So it's a different type of, so man, I might move to a different town, city, man. I'm outnumbered, man. They families running deep. I'm by myself, and I'm the only.
Their family got roots.
And the things changed when I got older, and cats started. They might be new too, and they coming from out of town, and we link up, and they're like family now. But man, when you outnumbered and being bullied, I went through that a lot. I went through being outnumbered, being bullied. So that was no fun,
Yeah, I mean, I experienced, obviously, I think we all experienced some forms of different bullying. And I did travel a little bit too, growing up a little bit, and it, like you said, it just takes that adjusting, trying to find new friends, and everything. But going back to what we were saying, how today bullying is just brutal. I mean, I can't stand it because at least when we came up, I mean, worst case scenario, we could stay in the house. And don't have to come back out, versus where now today's bullying, the bully's right in your pocket.
Right.
Right on the computer you on. They can find ways to you know what I'm saying? So the bullying is like in their face, versus where we can close the door and be like, yo, I ain't gotta go out there. I can strategize, like, okay, if I go around, at least I could speak for him when I was in New York. You could be like, you know what? I know this is where these cats hang out. I'm gonna keep my plan over here to this direction. I'm gonna come out at this time. Who's able to strategize. But now the bullies are so much in these kids' face. My heart goes out to them.
My heart goes out to them too, man. Because
I pray for my kids, man, because it's real, man.
You don't know what these children are going through at school, man. You don't know. They could have had an embarrassing moment. They don't know that this too shall pass. They don't know about that, man. And now sexuality is out more now, so no telling what's happening to gay children or somebody just trying to find out where they fit in. So it's I can imagine what they're going through.
It's some advice to the kids who might be listening out there to this podcast. Be careful what you post. Be careful what information you put out there. Because once you put it out there,
and parents who may be listening, tell your kids this. But go ahead.
Right, because whatever you put out there, once you put it out there, you can't get it back.
No.
And that's you got to be careful what you say, who you say it to, and how how you pictures and things of that nature.
Yes,
you want to make sure it's not a joke and it follows you 10 years down the line.
Them filters too don't work because you might think somebody's your friend. They might screenshot your stuff.
Oh yeah.
I know people that went to people's bosses, man, and at their jobs got them fired for racial comments or stuff like this, or
right. Because for example, the police or whoever, one of the first things they utilize as a tool is social media. All right, well, what happened? Such and such did such and such. Okay, let's go to his social media page. Let's go to his Facebook. Let's go to his Instagram. Oh, there it is. He's posting it.
Right.
People, some of these kids are just retarded because they post everything.
Yes.
Don't need to know. I don't need to know everything, but at the same time, don't look crazy when they just pull up on you, whether it be your parents, the police, or whoever, or that person you talked about, and they chin check you.
Yeah.
Talking all that rah rah, and then you come out. I'm standing here, such and such. I'm in the mall, and they pop up on you.
Pop up on you.
I don't understand it. That's just something me. I always wanted to keep my stuff private. That's me.
Yeah.
And if you do see stuff that I do post, it's because I want you to see it, and you can't use it against
me. Right.
I mean, whatever. You say, okay, you saw me
on the
beach
language
shirt
too,
on,
children.
there it is.
Yeah.
Control your language, man. Every word ain't gotta be a F this, a S that, or A this, or watch it, man. Have some class, Ain't trying to tell you what to do. Like I said before earlier, ain't trying to be your daddy. Just
well, we say back in the day, NC.
No
class. but yeah, man. It reminds me of a joke that Jamie Foxx said one time. I forgot where I heard this at, but he was joking about how when his daughter. I mean, this is an old joke, but it was when she was in college, and and he was talking about how she called him and was like, telling him basically, Daddy, I got these people up here bullying me, boom, 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 at the college. So Jamie said, I don't mess around. He said, I'm a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? And I made the joke maybe off right here a little bit, but basically he was like, in a nutshell, he said, I got money, I'm successful. He said he found the biggest goons to take with him up to the college. He said he bust up in the room with these goons, like, yo, where's this bully at? And he said his daughter pointed to the computer to my right here. He was like, well, you just turned. He said, baby. He said, I can tell you how to handle that one. Just turn it off. Just turn it off. So, these bullies, and I know in much respect to also, I don't want to overlook, we know that unfortunately bullying can happen even as adults. So we're not, like you said earlier, we're not condoning bullying, but just turn the computer off. You know what I'm saying? If it's that bad,
whatever.
Turn the phone off. And that's kind of what I'm trying to prepare myself for. Because I know with our kids, as they getting older, I mean,
they can get crushed. I have seen, my kids get crushed by what they've seen on the phone. Literally, like just laid out crying, and I'm like, what happened? And to me, I'm looking at it like, I'm shaking my head, like, but that's their world. So we do got to accept your children's world is more so not the same world in their minds as your mind as an adult. And we know as a generation, we also think the same thing about our parents. Oh man, they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And likewise, now we're the old folk, and we're doing the same thing to our, we can have the same mentality with our kids.
Yeah, and that's what my kids don't, which I don't expect them to understand because they still so young. But that's when I tell them when as parents and when we're telling them like you can't have this device. It's not that you can't thankfully we can afford to be able to give you a device. So it's not like you can it's not financially you can't have the device. It's just that we know that that's going to be a world that's going to open up to you that I don't think you're ready for yet. You know what I mean? To get crushed, get your spirit. They don't see that side of it. It's not just necessarily financially. It's just that I'm worried, concerned for you spiritually and emotionally because these devices are crucial right now.
Man.
Even if it's not bullying, back to we said earlier from influencers, and that, I'm not saying that they had any kind of ill intentions because everybody got to make money out here. And I'm an entrepreneur, I understand. But when you have all this marketing and the social media, it doesn't have to be the bully no more of like that person bullying you and talking trash to you. Now it's just things you see that
man, they got access to Pornhub.
Not being able to buy this car and not being able to get this job or be able to buy these clothes. That's it's marketing bullies too.
Yeah. Oh man, I call them predators, man.
Predators, yeah, definitely.
Well, I got a question. This is kind of a basic question. I say that because I have 5 girls and 2 boys. So, in your opinion, who are easier to raise, boys or girls?
I guess it's just me and you, El. No, Mike
ain't got I ain't got nothing to do with that.
You can't wait on that mic. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I would say this, man.
What's your outside opinion then, Mike? What's your outside opinion on that?
Outside opinion, I'd say it'd be easier for a son, man. I had a beautiful princess, man. I got man, I don't want her to scrape up her legs. You know what I'm saying? When she's getting older, I want to make sure that she's, learn how to be a lady, and boy, man, Fly Sneaks, teach him a little game. He good, show him how to wash himself up, get fresh, and he good. Man, a girl, you probably going through emotions, man, and oh my God, man, I can take it if it's kind of being biased, but I'm just keeping it 100.
All right.
Your son come home, you might be like, all right, man, tough it up, man. Your daughter come home crying, man, you might be ready to kill somebody, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I've been through that. I've been through that.
Yeah, so
multiple levels.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a niece and nephew, so I know a little something. They ain't the same.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's why the whole subject that we're talking about, the different things we talked about tonight was about the whole, dating and being bullied, and and to answer your question, El, like I have to, say definitely, I feel like at least right now, my daughter's the hardest because I guess being also a dad too, right? So it's like like you just said, Mike, like you don't want nothing happening to him. You thinking of the worst. And this is a whole nother episode talking about our past. But I'm just saying, you just know what's out there, right? So you kind of like,
no,
okay,
you in that category. I'm the one that
I'm the one the daughter want to date. I consider, no doubt. I feel you. I've considered myself, a gentleman, at times. So, so you just what's out there, right? So that's the things right now at this age, that's the stuff I think about. Like, man, like what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go out there and kill this person. You know what I'm saying? So
I've had multiple experiences of the same situation.
So El, since you're the more seasoned one in here, which one you would say is the more difficult one? Because not only just that sexually, because I don't want to make it sound like that's all we think about from women, but I'm also thinking about like that time of the month, and also the challenges they may have being discriminated for being a woman. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Finding a sorry dude that drags them down, and you don't want them to be hanging on to somebody that don't want them. So it's multiple layers to when I think about my daughter versus my son. Same thing, because you don't want him to get his heart broke and flying around, but it's just something about a woman. I mean, something about the female is more.
I'll definitely ride with y'all on that. The boys are easy. Literally, it's like throwing some sneakers and get them a haircut, and they're adults. I mean, It's not that simple. But the girls, be having 5 girls. That's 5 different attitudes, 5 different characteristics, 5 different personalities. And then obviously, I learned a lot about women watching these girls grow.
Wow.
I learned a lot. That gives me more of appreciation for women because of the fact that you want somebody to treat them like their mothers are being treated, or how I treat their mothers or whatever. But the girls, man, whew, man,
they do something to you.
I've literally have busted in restaurants, about to knock somebody upside the head. I have gone to somebody's door, about to bust somebody upside the head. I have made phone calls. I have done all kind of stuff in honor to protect their honor, protect their well-being. And a lot of times, me personally, my girls know, I'll just be wrong. If you say it, I'm a back you up on it. I'll be wrong later, but I'm gonna jump on it, and I don't play that. Now, who said what, who did it, or whatever, But I tell them too. I said, don't take the leash off the dog. Don't call me unless you. Because I'm going full force,
And see, because I'm you got me personally, I like to watch stuff like, investigating reports and, those unsolved mysteries and things like that. So, women, you got stuff like possibly getting raped and things like, so I'd be thinking about some of that stuff. Like I would, I already told the wife, just don't even worry about no bail. I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even worry about it.
That goes back to also make sure all the listeners, parents and children, well, parents especially, inform your child, educate your child, give them the tools they need to make sure they understand what they need to do to protect themselves, their rights. You know, women who are listening, and you have that you're grown women with you raising these young princesses, these queens. Show them how you got to your point, and the mistakes you made. Show them how to avoid that. And likewise with the guys, we do the same thing for our young kings. We'll do the same thing and show them the way. What we did wrong, hey, don't go that way. And even when they do go that way, support them. Because we did it.
Yeah, and that's as I'm listening to you, that like all that applies to even single mothers as well, right? Because just coming from a, I'm just thinking from an outside, like from a male coming into a relationship, because I know we kind of talk about kids and stepkids just in general, those different type of relationships. If I was to see that dating you, and I see how much you invest in your children, period, but especially your daughter, that will also, that'll be respect that we'll have as a coming in as a spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, like that's what's up.
You wouldn't have to tell me your child comes first. I will know.
You will see it. The actions speak louder than words.
Right? I got some advice too, though.
I've seen women who not put their child first. Yeah. That's bad.
Yes. Oh man. Don't let me get started there.
And I'll let you, Michael. I know you had some good to say, Mike, but I did want to throw this in, just picking back off of L, because I remember seeing a young lady literally like teach her daughter how to cook. She had her daughter in there, kind of old school, bring the daughter in, watch her cook and this stuff, this, that, and the third. But then her son, they're both around the same age, probably the same age difference between my son and daughter, a few years apart. Had him sitting on the couch chilling, watching TV. So I'm like, yo, won't you let him come in there and watch you cook too, so he can know how to cook as well? And she's like, oh no, this is her responsibility, not his. I'm like, nah, he did get up and learn too. I mean, obviously I wasn't my kids, but I threw my little 2 cents in, and she didn't appreciate me saying that. But I was just, why can't he learn how to cook for himself too? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, have them both in there. It's not about one or the other. So, but what are you gonna say, Mike? I'm sorry.
No, my advice too. I mean, I'm not a parent, but one thing I do want to say, and I hope some parents out there take heed to this: let your kids be kids. I mean, I'm not saying let them run wild, but a lot of them, they're in adult conversations.
Right.
You got them watching any and everything. They're not ready for that. A lot of adults still ain't ready for that. I like what this one pastor said. He said, what's really not good for kids really ain't good for grown folks either, if you think about it. So just let them be children. I mean, it used to be that a privilege if you up late and you might be hang around the adults for a little bit, but after a while, hey, it's time to go to bed, or this is for the grown folks. So that's my only advice.
Well, this was good, some great advice. So I was going to try to throw one out here, but just to wrap things up, I was going to throw one little monkey wrench in here, just to see. I mean, it's kind of on topic but off topic. I was trying to figure out how to ask this question, but
here we go.
And this might definitely be a opportunity for another episode. So with all this being said about kids, then how do you really define a parent?
I think
I threw L off. I see you looking like, what are you trying to say with that?
Define a parent as somebody that takes.
There's a difference between a donor and being a parent when they're having kids.
Somebody you're a teacher. You prepare them for when you're gone. I think that's what shows if you're a real parent. If you're gone, have you prepared them to be able to survive without you and to be able to be a parent themselves? Are they going to be a good father or a good wife or a good, that's my
take on it. Yeah. I definitely I believe when you talk about kids, and I probably could have asked the question better, but when I think of kids, just because you have kids, there's definitely a difference. And I guess I'm speaking to the men, than you being a donor and really being a father, you know what I'm saying? And being a parent, because you can lay with anybody that have children, but are you really a father to that child? Not to say you got on your stripes to say I got these kids, but are you taking care of them? You see what I'm saying?
Well, I can speak as a man, and I it comes to mind a quote I heard. I like this quote. I really do like this quote. And a boy or a male wants to be served, but a man wants to be of service. So we got to think of it as men. How can we be of service to our children? You know, we got to make sure we're doing that, you know, because otherwise you're not a parent. That's a good question you asked, because you want to be somebody who that child looks up to, can depend on, who they know, you know, because you think of it this way, especially when you talk about the daughters, you know, I'm gonna tell my daddy. That means a lot.
A lot.
Even our young, even the boys. But when they say I'm gonna tell my daddy, oh man, you know, that's like the ultimate, you know. So you think about that child who's under your kneecap, come to grab your pinky. He says such and such and such, even though to you and I it's trivial, but to him, he came and got his guardian, his protector, or his mama, or the mamas, the singles mama. I'm gonna tell my mama.
Yeah,
you know, and especially the single black mamas. You don't want to come out there.
It's about to go down.
Mess with their kid you want to, boy. They coming out with the.
Look, in my day, I ran from a lot of mamas when I was a kid. When you call me a mom, I'm out.
Boy, they ain't playing, boy.
Yeah, so that is a good question, man. But there's a lot of people just sperm donors, but not parents. People just make you gotta be, you know, you gotta man up. You know,
and they think they're providers by just paying child support too. It's more to that, brother.
My son, he has a daughter. My son has a daughter, and he's an excellent father. Excellent father. Yeah. You know, not everything is ideal like he wants it to be, but he's an excellent father. I always tell him, I said, man, you're doing a great job, man. I said, man, you are doing a great job. You know, and I think because of the fact that his own biological dad is absent in his life, you know, and I hope that has something to do with as far as giving him some resources and some background and some help as to how to be a father, you know. But he's an excellent father, you know. But I'm still there for him and her, you know, if needed, you know.
And with that being said, I thought of something, man. You know, every chance I get, man, I want to just give a shout out to all the single dads, because that get overlooked.
Yes,
you know,
they do,
I
man.
talk about that much, you know, obviously coming from single mother, you know, home and all, but you know, there's some single dads out there holding it down too. And I think
they're holding it down for real, man.
They should deserve. They I feel like they deserve as well.
Yeah, that's another show too. I think we can get into that.
So just to wrap things up, fellas, I think this was some good talk on the kids and the good, bad, and ugly. Again, do y'all have any, before we wrap it up, anybody have any last thoughts or something that we might not have said, or anything you want to, you know, chime in?
I just want to say I believe the children are the future.
That's a classic single man. I love the kids. I promise you I do.
Yeah, I just pray that that my kids learn from the mistakes I made. My kids can also benefit from the triumphs I had, you know, and they're my triumphs, you know. So I hope they understand it. They're listening. You know, your dad loves you. You know, shout out to my children. You know,
and amen to that, because I agree wholeheartedly. Amen to that. So I think we'll wrap it up there, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. For our listeners, again, you know, we're just talking. We just men being men, just having a conversation, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Make sure you we now on YouTube, y'all. We kind of grown. We kind of growing a little bit. You know, we're growing a little bit.
We're coming up.
So you can now find us on YouTube at Guilty by Associations on YouTube. You can check us out on there, or also you can check your local your where you find all your different platforms for podcasting. So keep a lookout for us. Share with other people.
Drop some comments. Tell us what you think.
Leave some comments. Give us some topic ideas if you want. Exactly. And we appreciate y'all. So on that note, I'm Alexander.
I'm Big Mike.
I'm El Boogie.
In the building.